The great chamber of Axiom Prime Station hummed with worried voices. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered for an emergency meeting. Something strange was happening in the outer sectors, and nobody understood what it meant. Ambassador Thelrix of the Vorath Empire stood at the center platform. His forearms gestured dramatically at the holographic display floating above him. Red markers dotted dozens of star systems in what should have been empty space. These sectors were surveyed 50,000 years ago, Thelrix announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. Our records clearly marked them as barren. No life, no resources worth claiming. Now look at them. The display zoomed in. Each red marker showed busy space stations, orbital platforms, and planets covered with lights. Ships moved between the systems in organized patterns. Someone had built an entire civilization in what the Council thought was wasteland. Who are they? Asked Counselor Mirax, her crystalline body reflecting light across the room. Thelrix's expression darkened. They call themselves humans. They appeared seemingly overnight. Our scouts report they have technology equal to our own. Some of their ships are even more advanced than ours. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. The Galactic Council had stood for 70,000 years. Every spacefaring species in the known galaxy was part of it. New species were discovered occasionally, but they were always primitive. They needed decades or centuries to reach Council standards. Impossible, declared High Curator Asathi. The Luminary Elder had served the Council for 3,000 years. She had seen many strange things, but this defied logic. No species developed space travel that quickly. We would have detected their radio signals, their early satellites, their industrial revolution. Where did they come from? Thelrix manipulated the display. That is the mystery. They claim these worlds as their ancestral territory. They say they have always been here. He paused dramatically. They are asking for formal recognition as a Council member species. Laughter broke out among some representatives. The idea seemed absurd. Newcomers did not simply demand seats at the Council table. They had to earn their place over generations. Let them wait like everyone else, Thelrix continued. They can apply through proper channels. It will take 50 years to process their application, as is tradition. In that time, we will learn everything about them. Then we decide if they deserve recognition. I disagree, a new voice said from the entrance. Everyone turned. A delegation of 5 beings walked into the chamber. They were bipedal, shorter than most species present, with smooth skin in varying shades of brown and pink. They wore simple dark uniforms with no weapons visible. The lead figure was a woman with black hair pulled back from her face. Her dark eyes swept the chamber with calm confidence. I am Ambassador Chen Wei, she said. I represent the Human Federation. We requested this meeting because we believe in following proper procedures. However, we did not ask for permission to exist. We already exist. We seek recognition as equals, not as supplicants. Thelrix's scales flushed with anger. You dare enter this chamber uninvited, security? We were invited, Chen Wei said calmly. She held up a small device. High Curator Asathi sent us the access codes herself. She wanted to meet us. All eyes turned to Asathi. The ancient curator nodded slowly. I did. Because I found something disturbing in our archives. These sectors were not always marked as barren. The designation was changed 200,000 years ago. Before that, the records are corrupted. The chamber fell silent. 200,000 years was ancient history. Most species had not even evolved yet. Chen Wei smiled slightly. We understand your confusion. We also understand your caution. We do not wish to disrupt the Council's harmony. We only ask that you investigate before making judgments. Thelrix stepped forward aggressively. You think you can simply walk in here and demand respect? The Vorath Empire alone has conquered 70 star systems. We have military might that has stood for 30,000 years. What have your humans accomplished? We have survived, Chen Wei replied quietly. That is enough for now. Survived? Thelrix laughed. Everyone survives. That means nothing. Chen Wei's expression did not change, but something shifted in her eyes. something old and tired. Does everyone survive, Ambassador Thelrix? I wonder if you truly believe that. Before Thelrix could respond, Asathi interrupted. This debate serves no purpose. Ambassador Chen Wei, your people must undergo the standard evaluation process. We must send research teams to your worlds. We must study your technology and culture. Only then can the Council make an informed decision. We expected as much, Chen Wei said. We welcome your researchers. We have nothing to hide. However, I offer a word of caution. She paused, making sure everyone was listening. When your teams explore our worlds, they will find things that do not match your expectations. When that happens, please come to us with questions rather than accusations. What things? Asathi asked sharply. Old things, Chen Wei said. Very old things. Things that might change how you see galactic history. Thelrix snorted. More mysteries and riddles. This is why we cannot trust these humans. They speak in circles. Chen Wei turned to face him directly. We speak carefully because the truth is complicated. The galaxy has forgotten much. We hope to let sleeping history rest. But if you insist on digging into our past, we cannot stop you. We only ask that you be prepared for what you find. Are you threatening us? Thelrix demanded. No, Chen Wei said. We are warning you there is a difference. Asathi raised one crystalline hand. Enough. This meeting is concluded. The Council will send evaluation teams to human space within the month. Ambassador Chen Wei, you and your delegation will remain on Axiom Prime as guests while we conduct our research. Chen Wei nodded. We accept. We will answer any questions you have. As the Council members began to file out, Asathi approached Chen Wei privately. Tell me honestly, the Luminary Elder said quietly. What will my researchers find? Chen Wei met her eyes. They will find proof that humans have been in space much longer than you think. They will find evidence that makes no sense according to your historical records. And they will find reasons to be afraid. Afraid of what? Not of us, Chen Wei said. We are not your enemies. We never wanted to be. But the galaxy was not always as peaceful as it is now. There were reasons these sectors were marked barren. There were reasons the records were corrupted. She paused. Those reasons did not disappear. They were only forgotten. Asathi felt a chill run through her crystalline form. How long have humans been watching us? Chen Wei smiled sadly. Longer than you have existed as a species, High Curator. We have been watching and waiting, hoping we would never be needed again, hoping you would all be safe without ever knowing we were here. Why reveal yourselves now? Because it is time, Chen Wei said simply. The galaxy is about to remember something it forgot long ago. When that happens, we want to be standing beside you as friends, not watching from the shadows as strangers. Asathi did not sleep that night. She returned to her private archive and began searching through the oldest records she could access. Somewhere in the corrupted data files and redacted reports, the truth was waiting. She would find it. Across the galaxy, research teams began preparing for their journey to human space. They expected to find a young civilization. They expected to catalog new technology and write standard reports. None of them knew they were about to uncover the galaxy's greatest secret. High Curator Asathi had not left her archive chamber for 3 days. Thousands of data files floated around her in holographic displays. Most were corrupted or incomplete. The oldest records in the Luminary database stopped making sense around 200,000 years ago. Before that date, the records were clear and detailed. After that date, everything changed. Entire sectors were suddenly redesignated. Species that should have existed vanished from the databases, and massive gaps appeared in the historical timeline. Someone had deliberately erased information. But who and why? High Curator, her assistant called from the doorway. The Vorath research team has sent an urgent message from human space. Commander Thelrix demands to speak with you immediately. Asathi felt her core temperature drop. Something had happened. Put him through. Thelrix's face appeared on the screen. The proud Vorath commander looked shaken. His scales were pale and his forearms trembled slightly. We found something, he said without greeting. Something that should not exist. Explain, Asathi commanded. We surveyed the human colony on a planet they call New Terra. Standard procedure. The humans were cooperative. They gave us full access to their settlements. Thelrix paused, struggling with his words. Our geological team scanned beneath the surface. They found ruins. That is not unusual, Asathi said. Many planets have fossil records. These are not fossils, Thelrix said. These are structures, buildings, a city complex buried under 3 kilometers of rock. We carbon dated the materials. He stopped, looking directly at her. The ruins are 270,000 years old. The archive chamber fell silent. That was impossible. No known species had achieved civilization that long ago. The oldest council species, the Luminari themselves, had only reached space travel 90,000 years ago. You made an error, Asathi said. Recheck your calculations. We checked 5 times, Thelrix said. We brought in specialists from 3 different species. They all confirmed the same date. But that is not the worst part. He manipulated his display. Look at this, a holographic image appeared. It showed a section of wall from the ruins. Carved into the ancient stone were murals. They depicted scenes of battle. On one side stood various alien species fighting together. On the other side was something else. Something with too many limbs and no clear shape. Something that looked like it was made of darkness itself. At the front of the defending army stood bipedal figures. They wore armor that looked primitive compared to modern technology, but their faces were unmistakable. They were human. We found writing too, Thelrix continued. Our linguists are working on translation, but some symbols match ancient human languages that their own historians thought were myths. These ruins predate recorded human history by 200,000 years. Asathi leaned closer to the display. What are they fighting in these murals? We do not know. The humans call them the Devourers. They say it is from their old legends. But High Curator, we found genetic material in the ruins. Hair, bone fragments, preserved tissue. We analyzed everything, and? Asathi demanded. The DNA from the bodies in those ruins shares 99.7% similarity with modern humans. These were not ancient relatives. These were the same species. Humans fought in this war 270,000 years ago. Asathi felt her entire worldview cracking. That is impossible. Species do not remain unchanged for that long. Evolution alone would create differences. I know, Thelrix said quietly, but the evidence does not lie. Either humans are far older than anyone realized, or something else is happening here that we do not understand. Where are the humans now? The ones from your research team? They are still being cooperative, Thelrix said, but they are not surprised by our discovery. It is like they expected us to find this. Ambassador Chen said she would answer our questions when we were ready to ask them properly. Asathi made a decision. I am coming to New Terra. Do not let anyone leave that planet until I arrive. And Thelrix, do not share this information with anyone else yet. Why not? Because if what we are discovering is true, it will change everything. Every species in the Council will need to rethink their entire understanding of galactic history. I want to be certain before we cause that kind of chaos. After ending the call, Asathi immediately began searching her archives with new focus. She was no longer looking for what was there. She was looking for what was missing. And she found it. 200,000 years ago, there had been an event. The records called it the Great Silence. For exactly 3,000 years, all communication across the galaxy stopped. Every species went dark. When they came back online, they had all agreed to something called the Founding Compact. The Compact established the Galactic Council. It set rules for interaction between species. It created the neutral zones, and it sealed certain archives with codes that would destroy the information if anyone tried to access it improperly. Asathi had never questioned this. The Founding Compact was ancient history. Every council species had signed it. It was the foundation of their civilization. But now she wondered, what had happened during those 3,000 years? What had made every species in the galaxy agree to lock away information? She started tracing the genealogy of council species. When had each species first appeared in the records? The answer disturbed her. Almost every current council species had evolved or achieved space travel within the last 150,000 years. It was as if the galaxy had suddenly filled with intelligent life all at once. Before that, the record showed only a few species existed, and most of those had gone extinct during the Great Silence. Something cleared the galaxy, Asathi whispered to herself. Something killed most of the advanced species. Then new ones evolved to fill the empty space. A message alert interrupted her thoughts. It was from Ambassador Chen. Hi, Curator Asathi. I understand your researchers have made discoveries on New Terra. I also understand you have questions that our hosts cannot answer. If you wish to know the truth, come to Earth, our homeworld. There is something you need to see. Something that was hidden not by us but by your ancestors. Come alone if you want honest answers. Asathi stared at the message for a long time. Every instinct told her this was dangerous. The humans were manipulating events. They had allowed the research teams to find exactly what they wanted them to find. But Chen Wei was right about one thing. Asathi needed answers, and she was beginning to suspect that only humans could provide them. She sent a reply accepting the invitation. Then she began the journey to Earth. Meanwhile, on New Terra, Thelric stood in the excavated ruins. His team had uncovered more murals. These ones showed the final battle. Humans stood at the center wielding weapons that bent space itself. Around them, reality seemed to tear apart. The Devourers were being pulled into the tiers, screaming silently in their alien way. But the humans in the murals were screaming too. Whatever they had done to win, it had cost them dearly. Commander, one of his officers, called. We found something else. A chamber sealed with technology we cannot identify. The humans say we can open it if we wish, but they warn us that what is inside might be disturbing. Thelrix felt fear and curiosity warring inside him. Part of him wanted to leave this planet and never return. But another part needed to know. Open it, he ordered. The chamber door slid apart with a hiss of ancient air. Inside, preserved in stasis fields that still functioned after hundreds of thousands of years, were bodies. Human bodies. Thousands of them. All wearing the same armor from the murals. They looked young. Many appeared to be barely adults, and on each chest was carved a symbol. A circle with lines radiating outward. Beneath it were words in ancient human language. Thelrix's translator struggled with the archaic dialect but finally produced a reading. First Coalition, Defenders of Life. We gave everything so others could live. Remember us. Remember what we faced. Remember what we sacrificed. Let it never be forgotten. Let it never happen again. Thelrix stood in that chamber for hours, surrounded by the bodies of warriors from an impossible war. Young humans who had died defending a galaxy that would forget they ever existed. When he finally left, he understood why Chen Wei had spoken so carefully. This was not just history. This was a warning. Asathi's ship approached Earth in silence. The human homeworld glowed blue and green against the black of space. It looked peaceful. Beautiful. Not like a world that had somehow existed for hundreds of thousands of years while the rest of the galaxy forgot about it. Ambassador. Chen Wei met her at the orbital station personally. Thank you for coming, High Curator. I know this requires great trust. I am not sure trust is what brought me here. Asathi replied honestly. I need answers. My entire understanding of history is crumbling. Chen Wei nodded. I understand, follow me. There is someone you need to meet first. They traveled down to Earth's surface in a small shuttle. Asathi saw cities below, but also vast forests and oceans. Humans had technology, but they had not covered their entire planet with it. That was unusual. Most advanced species maximized every resource. The shuttle landed at a facility built into a mountain. Guards stood at the entrance, but they were not aggressive. They simply watched with calm alertness. Inside, Chen Wei led Asathi through corridors carved from living rock. Finally, they reached a chamber where an old human sat waiting. He looked ancient even by long-lived species standards. His skin was wrinkled, his hair white, but his eyes were sharp and clear. High Curator Asathi, Chen Wei said. This is Dr. Marcus Rivera. He is our chief historian and keeper of memories. The old man stood with effort and bowed slightly. Welcome to Earth, High Curator. Please sit. What I am about to tell you will be difficult to accept. Asathi sat. I have already accepted that my entire civilization was built on lies. What more can you tell me? Dr. Rivera smiled sadly. Not lies exactly. More like protective forgetting. After the war, the survivors decided the truth was too dangerous. They locked it away, hoping future generations would never need it. He activated a holographic display. But first, let me show you something. Do you know what these are? The display showed images from the Luminary sealed archives. Files that were forbidden to open, files protected by codes that would destroy the data if anyone tried to break in. How do you have access to our restricted archives? Asathi demanded. Because humans created those security systems, Dr. Rivera said quietly. We gave them to your ancestors 200,000 years ago. After the war, we knew how to bypass them because we built them. Asathi felt cold. That is impossible. Watch, Dr. Rivera said. He entered a series of commands. The sealed files opened without resistance. Information poured across the display. Information that had been hidden since before the Luminari achieved space travel. Asathi read in horror. The files described a galaxy very different from the one she knew. They told of an enemy called the Devourers, a hive mind that consumed all biological life. They spread between stars like a plague, turning entire worlds into feeding grounds. They were not natural, Dr. Rivera explained. They were created by an ancient species as a weapon. But the Devourers evolved beyond their creators' control. They destroyed their makers and then kept spreading. For millions of years, they consumed everything in their path. The display showed maps, red zones spreading across the galaxy like infection, entire sectors marked as lost. Civilizations wiped out in decades. 270,000 years ago, they reached this part of the galaxy. Dr. Rivera continued. Dozens of species existed here. The Vorathar, the Luminari Ancients, the Krell, the Synthari, all of them faced extinction. I have never heard of most of those species, Asathi said. Because most of them are gone, Dr. Rivera said grimly. The Devourers killed them. But before they died, they did something desperate. They contacted a young species that had just achieved faster-than-light travel. A species that had survived by being stubborn and refusing to give up even when everything seemed hopeless. Humans, Asathi whispered. Humans, Dr. Rivera confirmed. We were new to the galaxy. We barely understood the technology we had invented. But when we saw what was happening, when we met the refugees fleeing the Devourers, we made a choice. We decided to fight. The display showed images of the war. Young humans in primitive armor standing beside alien species. Fleets made from whatever ships they could build. Weapons that broke the laws of physics because desperate people had no choice but to break those laws. We called it the First Coalition, Dr. Rivera said. Every species that could still fight joined. But humans led because we had nothing to lose. Our homeworld was directly in the Devourer's path. If we ran, we died. If we fought, we might die. But at least we would die standing. How did you win? Asathi asked. The records show the Devourers were unstoppable. We did not win at first, Dr. Rivera said. We lost, battle after battle, world after world. The Devourers consumed entire species. They killed trillions. And they learned from every fight. They adapted to our weapons, our tactics, our technology. The display showed the war's progression. Humanity and the Coalition retreated again and again. But each time they fought back harder. Each time they invented something new. Finally, our scientists developed something radical, Dr. Rivera said. Quantum displacement technology. A way to fold space itself. We could theoretically move matter between dimensions. You invented dimensional technology? Asathi felt faint. Even now, dimensional science was considered theoretical. No species had successfully manipulated dimensions. We had no choice, Dr. Rivera said. Normal weapons could not stop the Devourers permanently. They just regrew, so we decided to remove them from our dimension entirely, push them into a sealed pocket universe where they could not escape. The display showed the final battle, massive human ships surrounded by Coalition forces. They were building something enormous, a ring of stations that circled an entire star system. We called it the Boundary Gate, Dr. Rivera said. It took 50 years to build. The Coalition protected it while humans worked. Thousands of species gave their lives to buy us time. And when it was finally complete, we activated it. The display showed what happened next. Reality itself tore apart. The Devourers were pulled toward the dimensional tear, screaming in frequency ranges that hurt to hear even in recordings. They fought and struggled, but the pull was irresistible. It worked, Dr. Rivera said quietly. We pushed them out of our dimension, sealed them away. The war was over. Then why do you sound so sad? Asathi asked. Dr. Rivera's eyes filled with pain. Because of the cost. Opening that dimensional rift required enormous energy. We had to collapse the barriers between dimensions across the entire galaxy. For 3,000 years, reality itself was unstable. Most advanced technologies stopped working. Communication systems failed. Faster-than-light travel became impossible. The great silence, Asathi breathed. Yes. And during those 3,000 years, most of the coalition species died. They could not maintain their civilizations without technology. Billions starved. Billions more died in wars over remaining resources. Entire species went extinct. Dr. Rivera's voice broke. We saved the galaxy from the devourers, but we destroyed it in the process. The display showed the aftermath. Dead worlds, silent space stations, the wreckage of civilizations. Humanity survived because we were young, Dr. Rivera continued. We still remembered how to live without advanced technology. We helped where we could, but there were too many dying worlds and too few of us. We watched most of the coalition die knowing we had caused it. But the dimensional barriers stabilized eventually, Asathi said. Technology started working again. Yes, after 3,000 years, reality healed. The few surviving species rebuilt, and they made a decision. They agreed to hide what had happened. They created the Founding Compact. They sealed the archives. They agreed to never speak of the war or the devourers. Dr. Rivera looked at her directly. They were afraid of us. Afraid of humans. Afraid of what we had done. We had literally torn reality apart to win. They believed if future generations knew that humans possessed such power, they would live in constant fear. So they hid us, marked our sectors as barren, let humanity fade into myth while new species evolved to fill the empty galaxy. Asathi understood now. And you let them. You let the galaxy forget you. We agreed to it, Dr. Rivera said. We were horrified by what we had done. We hoped if we stayed quiet, watched from the shadows, maybe the new civilizations would be better than the old ones. Maybe they would never need us to be weapons again. Why reveal yourselves now? Asathi asked. Dr. Rivera's expression turned grim. Because the dimensional seals are weakening. Our monitoring stations have detected breaches. Small ones so far, but growing. The devourers are finding their way back. He looked at her with ancient eyes. The war is not over, High Curator. It was only paused. And humanity needs the galaxy to be ready this time, because next time we might not survive the victory. Asathi sat in silence, absorbing the enormity of what she had learned. The entire Galactic Council existed because humans had made the galaxy safe. Every species she knew had evolved in the space humanity had cleared and protected. They were all children playing in a house that humans had built with blood. The emergency meeting happened in secret. 12 species sent representatives to a hidden station in neutral space. They did not invite humans. They did not tell the full council. This meeting was about preventing a threat before it could grow. Ambassador Thelric stood at the center. His fear had transformed into determination over the past weeks. We have all seen the evidence. Humans are not what they pretend to be. They are ancient. They are powerful. And they have been hiding among us, watching, waiting. They saved the galaxy, one representative objected. Dr. Rivera's records prove it. They nearly destroyed the galaxy, Thelric countered. They admit it themselves. They tore reality apart. They caused the Great Silence. Billions died because of human actions. He looked around the chamber. Yes, they fought the devourers. But who is to say they are not just as dangerous? They have technology beyond our understanding. They have weapons that can break dimensions. And they have been lying to us for thousands of years. What do you propose? Asked the Krenathi representative, her tentacles twitching nervously. Preemptive neutralization, Thelric said. We strike now while they are still revealing themselves. We disable their military capabilities before they can use them against us. We are not trying to destroy them, just remove their ability to threaten the galaxy. This is madness, the Centauri observer said. You want to attack the species that saved our ancestors? I want to protect our descendants, Thelric replied. If humans could defeat the devourers, what could they do to us if they decided we were a threat? We would be helpless. Better to act now from a position of strength than wait until they decide we are not worthy to share their galaxy. The debate continued for hours. In the end, fear won. 12 species agreed to contribute ships to a coalition fleet. They would strike human outer colonies simultaneously, disable defense platforms, force humanity to surrender its advanced weapons, make them equal to everyone else. They called it Operation Safeguard. They told themselves it was for the protection of the galaxy. The fleet assembled in deep space. 300 warships from multiple species. It was the largest military force gathered since the Council's formation. Surely it would be enough to overwhelm humanity's outer defenses. They were wrong. The attack began at dawn on New Terra. Coalition ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Weapons charged. Shields raised. They expected resistance. They expected a fight. What they got was a lesson. Before they could fire the first shot, every ship in the Coalition fleet suddenly went dark. Power systems failed. Weapons went offline. Engines stopped. 300 warships became 300 pieces of floating metal in the space of 3 seconds. On the bridge of his flagship, Thelrix stared at his dead console in disbelief. What happened? Report. His crew scrambled over their stations. Nothing worked. It was like every system had simply decided to stop functioning at the same moment. Then the human ships appeared. They did not drop out of faster-than-light travel. They did not appear on sensors before arriving. They were simply there, as if they had always been there and everyone had just failed to notice them. 20 human vessels surrounded the entire Coalition fleet. They were smaller than the warships, more elegant, and completely unthreatening in appearance. They did not even have visible weapons. A communication channel opened on every dead ship simultaneously. Ambassador Chen Wei's face appeared. She did not look angry. She looked sad, disappointed, like a parent watching a child make a terrible mistake. "We know what you intended to do," she said quietly. "We have been monitoring your communications since you began planning this attack. We could have stopped you at any time. We hoped you would reconsider. We hoped you would trust us." Thelrix found his voice. "You have disabled our entire fleet. That proves our fears were justified. You have weapons beyond our understanding." "We disabled your weapons systems only," Chen Wei corrected. "Your life support is functioning. Your crews are safe. We could have done much worse. We chose not to." She paused. "That is the difference you need to understand. Power is not about what you can do. It is about what you choose not to do." "You threaten us with mercy?" Thelrix demanded. "We offer you truth," Chen Wei replied. "You attacked us because you are afraid. You are right to be afraid, not of us but of what we represent. We are proof that power and responsibility are inseparable. We are proof that the greatest victories come with the greatest costs." She looked directly at him. "You want to be our equals. But equality is not given. It is earned through sacrifice and wisdom." Around the fleet, the human ships began to move. They were not attacking. They were positioning themselves. And in space behind them, something else was appearing. Massive structures rose from dimensions that should not exist. Ancient defense stations that had been hidden in folded space. They were covered in weapons that made modern technology look like children's toys. "These are the Guardian platforms," Chen Wei said. "We built them during the war with the Devourers. They have been sleeping for 200,000 years, waiting for a threat that required their awakening. They are powered by contained singularities. Each one can destroy a star system. We have 300 of them positioned throughout the galaxy." The Coalition crews stared in horror at the awakened stations. Any one of them could wipe out the entire fleet instantly. "We are showing you this not to threaten you," Chen Wei continued, "but to help you understand. Humanity has been protecting this galaxy with weapons you never knew existed. We have been watching over you while you slept, making sure nothing disturbed your peace. We never wanted recognition. We never wanted power over you. We only wanted you to be safe." Thelrix felt something break inside him. His pride, his certainty. He had believed the Coalition fleet was powerful. Now he understood they were nothing. Humanity had been holding back so completely that the galaxy had forgotten what true power looked like. "Why show us this?" he asked quietly. "Because you need to know the truth before you make your choice," Chen Wei said. She manipulated something off screen. A new image appeared. It showed the galaxy's rim. Strange energy readings. Dimensional tiers forming in deep space. "The seals are failing," Chen Wei said. "The Devourers are coming back. We have perhaps 10 years before they break through in significant numbers. When they do, every species in this galaxy will face the same choice our ancestors did. Run and die slowly, or stand and fight knowing you might die quickly." She looked at each person watching through the communication link. "We revealed ourselves because we need allies. Not servants. Not subjects, allies. We cannot fight this war alone. We tried that last time and it nearly destroyed us. This time we need the galaxy to stand with us as equals." "But we are not equals," Thelrix said bitterly. "You have just proven that." "You are not equal in power," Chen Wei agreed. "But you are equal in worth. Every species in this galaxy has value. Every civilization has something to contribute. The Devourers do not care if you are strong or weak. They only care that you are alive. Because they want to consume you. She paused, letting that sink in. We can teach you. We can share our technology. We can prepare you to fight. But first you must choose. Do you want to spend the next 10 years trying to limit human power? Or do you want to spend it getting ready to defend your worlds, your families, your futures? The communication channel fell silent. Throughout the disabled fleet, crews looked at each other. They had come here to remove a threat. Instead, they had discovered they were facing a much worse threat. One that was coming whether they were ready or not. Thelrix made his decision. Release our ships. We will return to the council. We will tell them everything. Even the parts that make you look foolish? Chen asked gently. Especially those parts, Thelrix said. They need to know how wrong we were. They need to understand what you have been protecting us from. He straightened despite his shame, and they need to know that humanity is offering us a chance to stand together. Not as masters and servants, but as defenders of life itself, Chen nodded. Your ships will be restored in 5 minutes. We are uploading data to your computers. Technical specifications for the Guardian platforms. Historical records from the First War. Training protocols. Everything you need to begin preparing. Her expression softened. We know you are afraid. That is good. Fear means you understand the stakes. But do not let fear control you. Let it motivate you. The communication ended. 5 minutes later, power returned to the coalition ships. They did not attack. They did not run. They slowly turned and began the journey back to council space. Behind them, the Guardian platform sank back into folded dimensions, waiting, watching, ready for the war that was coming. And for the first time in 200,000 years, humanity stopped hiding. They were done protecting the galaxy from the shadows. Now they would stand in the light, not as conquerors, but as the guardians they had always been. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so full. Every species sent their leaders. Every world sent observers. News of the failed attack on humanity had spread across the galaxy in days. Now everyone wanted answers. High Curator Asathi stood at the center platform. She had changed since visiting Earth. The other council members could see it in her crystalline form. She glowed with a different light now. Not the light of innocence, but the light of understanding. I have released the sealed archives, she announced. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Every species in this council now has access to the true history of our galaxy. I encourage you all to read it. Not the summaries. Not the edited versions. All of it. You had no authority, one representative shouted. I had every authority, Asathi replied calmly. I am the High Curator. The archives are my responsibility. And I decided that the truth is more important than our comfort. She activated the central display. For those who have not yet read the files, here is what you need to know. We exist because humans saved us. The galaxy was once ruled by an enemy that consumed all life. Humans led a coalition that defeated them. In doing so, humans nearly destroyed the galaxy, but they also gave us a future. Images from the war played across the display. The Devourers consuming worlds. The first coalition fighting impossible battles. Young humans dying by the millions to buy time for other species to evacuate. The chamber fell silent as they watched. Some representatives wept. Others sat in stunned disbelief. All of them finally understood what humanity had sacrificed. Now the Devourers are returning, Asathi continued. The dimensional seals are failing. We have perhaps 10 years before they break through in numbers we cannot ignore. When they do, every world in this galaxy will be in danger. She paused. Humanity has offered to help us, to teach us, to fight beside us. The question is whether we have the wisdom to accept. Ambassador Thelrix stood. His scales had lost their aggressive color. He looked older somehow, humbled. I led the attack on human space. I believed they were a threat that needed to be contained. I was wrong. He faced the assembled representatives. Humanity could have destroyed our fleet in seconds. Instead, they disabled our weapons and taught us a lesson. They showed us their true strength not to intimidate us, but to help us understand what we will face when the Devourers return. He activated his own display. It showed the Guardian platforms, the ancient weapons that had slept for 200,000 years. Humans have been protecting us with weapons we never knew existed. They have been watching the dimensional barriers, monitoring for breaches, preparing for a war they hoped would never come. And when we attacked them for doing this, they responded with mercy. Thelrix's voice broke slightly. We do not deserve their help. But they offer it anyway, because that is what guardians do. A new voice spoke from the entrance. We do not offer help because you deserve it. We offer it because it is right. Ambassador Chen Wei walked into the chamber. Behind her came Dr. Marcus Rivera and a dozen other human representatives. They carried no weapons. They wore no armor. They came simply as people asking to be heard. We failed you once, Chen Wei said. 200,000 years ago we won the war but lost the peace. We saved the galaxy from the Devourers but could not save most of the coalition from the aftermath. Billions died while we watched helplessly. That guilt has haunted humanity for 200 millennia. She looked around the chamber. We will not fail again. This time we are prepared. We have spent 200,000 years building, learning, improving. We have technology now that our ancestors could only dream of. We have weapons that can seal dimensions permanently. We have shields that can protect entire star systems. And we have the will to use them. Why should we trust you? Someone called out. You hid from us. You lied about who you were. We hid because your ancestors asked us to, Dr. Rivera replied. After the war, the surviving coalition species were terrified of what we had become. They saw humans tear reality apart and feared we would do it again. So they made us promise to stay hidden, to watch over the galaxy silently, to only reveal ourselves if the Devourers returned. He gestured at Chen Wei. We kept that promise for 200,000 years. We are breaking it now because we must. High Curator Asathi stepped forward. I have seen their homeworld. I have walked through their memorial gardens where they remember every species that died in the First War. Every coalition member is honored there, even the ones that went extinct, even the ones that this council never knew existed. Her voice filled with emotion. Humans have been mourning our ancestors for longer than we have existed as a species. They have never forgotten what was lost. They have never stopped preparing to prevent it from happening again. The chamber remained divided. Some species wanted to accept human help immediately. Others wanted time to process the revelations. A few wanted to reject humanity entirely, preferring to trust their own strength. Then the alerts began. Every ship in orbit around Axiom Prime detected it simultaneously, a massive dimensional breach opening at the galaxy's rim, energy readings unlike anything in the modern database, and something coming through. The display showed the breach in real time. Dark shapes pushing through from another dimension. They were far away, thousands of light years, but sensors could identify what they were. Devourers. Dozens of them, perhaps hundreds, the advanced scouts of an invasion force that would follow. The chamber erupted in panic. Species representatives began shouting. Some demanded immediate evacuation. Others called for military mobilization. None of them had any idea what to actually do. Ambassador Chen Wei's voice cut through the chaos. Be silent. Something in her tone made everyone stop. It was not anger. It was command. The voice of someone who had been preparing for this moment her entire life. The Devourers have found a weak point in the dimensional barrier, Chen Wei said calmly. This is earlier than we expected, but not unexpected. Our monitoring stations detected the breach forming 3 hours ago. We have already responded. She manipulated the display. New images appeared. Human fleets moving into position. Guardian platforms activating across the galaxy. And at the breach point, something enormous was forming. That is the bulwark, Dr. Rivera explained. A dimensional stabilizer we have been building in folded space for the past 50,000 years. It will reinforce the barriers around the breach and prevent it from expanding. The council members watched in amazement as the bulwark activated, a network of massive stations linked together with beams of pure energy. The dimensional breach began to shrink. The Devourers trying to push through were forced back. This breach will be sealed within 6 hours, Chen Wei said. But there will be others. The barriers are failing across the entire galaxy. We can reinforce them, but we cannot do it alone. We need your help. What can we do? Asathi asked. Our technology is not advanced enough to manipulate dimensions. You can defend your worlds while we seal the breaches, Chen Wei replied. You can evacuate populations from high-risk zones. You can produce the materials we need for more bulwarks. You can train your people to recognize Devourer signs and report them immediately. She looked at each representative in turn. You can stand with us. Not behind us. Not beneath us. Beside us, Thelric stood again. The Vorath Empire will stand with humanity. We will mobilize our fleets to protect vulnerable worlds. We will convert our industrial capacity to producing whatever materials you need, and we will train our warriors to fight the Devourers if they break through. One by one, other species stood and pledged their support. Not all of them. Some representatives remained seated, still uncertain or afraid, but enough stood that Chen Wei smiled. "That is enough to start," she said. "We will establish a new command structure. The Guardian Council. Representatives from every willing species working together to coordinate the defense. Humans will provide the advanced technology and strategic planning. You will provide the numbers, the resources, and the courage to face what is coming." High Curator Asathi stepped beside Chen Wei. "I propose we formally recognize humanity not just as a council member, but as the first power. The original defenders, the guardians who have protected us from the shadows and will now protect us in the light." The vote was not unanimous. Some species abstained, a few voted against, but the majority agreed. Humanity was recognized as the first power. Not rulers, not masters, but guardians, protectors, the species that would stand at the front when darkness came. Ambassador Chen Wei bowed to the council. "We accept this responsibility, as we accepted it 270,000 years ago, and we swear to you, on the memory of every coalition member who died in the First War, we will not fail you again." She straightened and looked at the display showing the sealed breach. "The Devourers think we have grown soft. They think 200,000 years of peace has made us weak. They are wrong. We are not the desperate young species they faced last time. We are prepared. We are ready, and we are not alone." Dr. Rivera activated another display. It showed defensive networks coming online across the galaxy. Human technology integrated with council infrastructure. Millions of people from hundreds of species working together.